Hello guys and welcome to this Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we are gonna open this sacred shard. Nothing. A dupe from a dupe system. Perfect. Anyways, yeah, let's go to what we was doing. We are gonna talk about AoE nukers in this game, okay? I have made a list and their hidden multipliers. Personally, I think it should be saying the multiplier, but because every skill has a hidden multiplier. Okay. Example: none of these champions in Battle Lords have good AoE. So, first, Elenariel. Okay, she has pretty decent attack. But again, this is not close to Ray A3 in terms of damage, because this ability have a 4.7 attack multiplier. Oh, that's actually decent. That's actually over average, but yeah. 3.7, and that's not counting the 1.2% damage increase you get from this one. And this percent damage here is a multiplier by itself for you, so you take your multiplier damage, your attack times multiplier times crit damage, you know, and this is an additional multiplier, so there's more damage multiplier. Anyways, so 4.7, that's actually above average. Ruanas, he got buffed recently, mainly his A3 ability here. It now has, while booked, 100% chance to stun. That is really strong. But is his damage good now? No, it isn't. His damage multiplier is only 3.7. So you times the damage by 3.7, and 3.7. That's a lot lower than Kale, the starter champion. So this is still horrible. This ability though is good. This kind of one-shot anything is better as a single target, so let's not talk about that too much. Yannicka. It's bad having to remove those threats. Anyway, Yannicka. She is a really special one because you want to open with this one. This is a single target nuke. Actually really hard hitting. It's a 6.3 damage multiplier. That's insane. So if you are against the Duchess, you can hit the Duchess with this. Then, after that, you either use your A1 or A3. The A3 has the biggest damage multiplier, I think. 3.6. Yeah, 3.6, while this have a 3.4 because it did 2 times. So, and this one ignores shields. And if you build her somehow with some accuracy, she can potentially remove the shields, but you're gonna combine her with a Madame or something, so they won't have any shields anyway. But yeah, 3.4 multiplier on this one, decent enough, but mostly against Duchess, and yeah, she's pretty good. Ethos, first Void Legendary you have on the list. His damage multipliers are lower than Kale's damage multipliers, but his base attack is higher, and yeah, I think he overall deals a lot more damage than Kale. So anyways, there are, let's start with A2, I think. That has hits 3 times, and 3 hit hitters are actually pretty useful against champions like Rotos that normally would cut in. This will properly kill a Rotos. So this one has a 4.2 multiplier. Yeah, total 4.2. And this one has a 4.4 multiplier. So 4.4. That is, I would say, that is pretty average on a good nuker. Of course, you can potentially build your ethos with 0 crit rate and only use this ability, then you will actually have But then there will be potential more damage because you can stack pure crit damage and don't care about the crit rate, you know. Is there any others on this ethos? Eleanorial. Yeah, this is a starter champion. So all the starters have pretty similar damage. I think, I mean Elhain, what I'm saying. Elhain is one of the lower damage starters actually. He does have a 2-hitter, but the multiplier is 3.8 only. That is the worst damage on my starter, but again, she's the only one that actually have 2 AoEs. So I guess she can be useful. If you start with this, then use this, whatever. Next faction, Second Order. Astrolon, he was a fusion. He is looking amazing. Wings and everything. Crazy cool champion. His damage multiplier though on this ability is only 4. Then a 1.2 from books. Again, he is a champion that can be booked to 100% stun. One of the very few champions, but he has a lot better damage multiplier than the earlier Ruanas. So, I mean, he's a good nuker. His base attack is insanely high, and he has some weird stuff there. But if you're gonna build in as a nuker, you don't really want to care about accuracy. Maybe have like a bit over 200 accuracy, so you can land the stuns in PvE content. This one, single target, actually hit pretty hard as well, so that's a plus. Abyss. After her buff, what build is this? Abyss. I think it's this one I was thinking about. This will ignore. Yeah, it will ignore 30% of the target's defense. If they don't have more defense than this champion, anyways, they are gonna die. So ignore. That's a huge thing. If you have her in Savage and Helm Smasher procs, that will in total ignore 80% of the target's defense, and that's insane. The damage multiplier is 4.5, so she's actually one of the hardest hitting champions in the game with this ability here. And it's useful in dungeons because of this 100% increased defense. So, but if you're gonna make a arena champion, you probably don't want any accuracy because that's gonna take away from your damage. Then our first defense-based nuker, actually, that is Martyr with her A3 ability. Martyr is overall insane champion. This attack is really good, provoke and decreased attack. Her multiplier is 4 on this one. That's pretty decent for a defense-based champion. It's nothing super impressive, but her entire kit is amazing. If you manage to survive after this, you can put up counterattacks, and yeah, she's a really good champion. I use her clan boss, and yeah, that's mostly it. But yeah, she's an overall insane champion. Not the best nuker though. After this is Sir Nick. Sir Nick, let me say. He's a great champion because of his unkillable and decent hitting AoE. He used to be the strongest HP-based damage nuker in the game. But after Versolf joined, Versolf had the potential to deal basically double his damage if there was a stun or provoke out. And after that, Magnar come out, so I will talk about them later. But his hit here is a multiplier of 0.25% of his health, multiplied by this as well. So he used to be the best HP nuker, but no one uses him in arena in higher tier. I had never seen him. Constantine, he's the average nuker. I don't have the multipliers. I didn't bother because he's below average, so was not worth my time. Anyway, Aethel is a starter. Probably she has a higher damage multiplier than him. So Actually, this one is pretty good. She can use this, start with this, gain increased attack if you don't have any increased attack champion. Gain attack a turn, then nuke with this. This has a multiplier of 4.1. And I forgot to mention all the starters have on their AoE has a 15% chance of inflict a critical strike. So additional 15. So yeah, this just make them easier to gear, and all the damage is pretty decent. So let's go to the next. There is Barbarian. Sadly, there is no good nukers here. This Contra-Sil has terrible AoE damage. There are some decent, some of these goals, I think, like Kalia or some of them had okay multipliers, but they require an insane amount of books, and it's just generally not worth it. Building a starter is probably a better idea. So yeah, there was one champion. Yeah, Shield Guard. Actually, he's the only uncommon champion I have on this list because I think he's worth. He's insane for new beginners. Well, new people of this game, because his AoE here actually has a defense multiplier of 4. And that's the same multiplier as Martyr. A bit lower base defense though. But again, as you see here, fills his turn meters. Fills his turn meter at 20% each time he deals a crit. So in arena he can attack everyone. He gains 80% of his turn meter back, and then he can keep on attacking. Yeah, and this passive as well. He's insane for early game, and the progression. Put him in some lifesteal and he will carry the game. Defense based also means that you will survive longer, so he is just literally amazing. Next one, Bigun. He is one of my first champions. He hits decently. His multipliers on this A2 is only 3.6, and this one is 3.8. That is lower than starter champions. His base attack is a little bit higher, but yeah, there's a lot more things to this. This has a 50% chance to stun. This decreases his turn meter, and plus decrease speed, whatever. So it's better than the starters overall, but surprisingly low damage. I don't really see anyone use him in arena. War Mother, she is an interesting one. She on this ability, yeah, this one, she has a 4.25 damage multiplier on the hit itself. Then she can also place 2 bombs, but again, then she would need accuracy. So that's the only problem with this. But this is one of the abilities that has the highest damage potential. Alright? Because a bomb from her has a 5.5 attack multiplier. Okay? But a bomb can't crit, but a bomb always ignores defense. And this ability here that instantly detonates all bombs has a damage multiplier of 4.5, so that is pretty decent. Okay? So yeah, she's got buffed, I think, so she's Ignatius. He's one of the better defense-based nukers in this game. This ability here has a 4.9 multiplier, so it's a lot higher than Martyr and Stash. But this one, this is an insane one, alright? 5.6 defense multiplier, okay? That's really good. That's really good. And he places HP burn as well, so not gonna stack up the damage. He's insane against Spider. Yeah. Base defense not super high, but decent enough. And he's actually one of the few defense-based champions with 2 AoEs as well. That is actually pretty rare. Shatterbones, I wasn't sure I'm gonna have him here, but I feel like why not? Because it's a damage multiplier 4.2. I think that's pretty good. Not necessarily worth building, but if you put him in mid accuracy as well, he has a chance to decrease the turn meter as well on the enemies, and that is potentially really good. Just put in some RNG and yeah, it's pretty good against waves if you have like 200 accuracy on him. There's one last champion here that I wanted to mention. That is Bellower. His base attack is terrible, but his multiplier on this is 4.2, 3.6 on this one, and pretty low on A1, but all his abilities are AoEs. So, if you have him, you probably want to push him into stun set and above 200 speed. Then he goes twice before the enemies, and he may lock out all the enemies. Lots of debuffs, block active skills make the enemies only able to use the A1. Amazing start champion. Build him if you have him. That's all I can say there. Lizardman, Fisha, he is pretty good in this ability here. 4 damage multiplier, not massive, but decent. He has a really good aura here. He's actually very good in clan boss. After this, Krisk. Yeah, Krisk. I've seen people build Krisk as a damage dealer. I don't think it's worth it. Just build him in shield set and a lot of health, and yeah, because this ability only has a 3 damage multiplier, so it's kind of terrible. Krisk is amazing. He's one of the best champions in the game overall, so don't waste him as a damage dealer. Basilisk I have him on this list as well because he has a really strong AoE A1 ability actually, with a 3 damage multiplier. His A2 is a single target with a 6.5 damage multiplier, pretty strong. The reason I put him here is because he has the potential of doing A1 over and over. With the retaliation mastery, he can proc this, and he will proc. What do I say? He will, if he dies, he will revive with 30% health and place a block damage buff, so he will have another A1 ability able to go, and yeah, he can be pretty annoying in arena defense. I wouldn't use him as a nuker though, as a primary nuker at least. So. Skinwalkers. There's only one worth mentioning here, I think. Cleopteryx. Just kidding. She has decent multipliers, nothing worth talking about. But Leorius. Leorius, he is probably the best nuker in this entire game. Okay? Because he's passive. He basically have an inbuilt swift parry with a 100% chance to proc. And this other effect here. Damage increases as the champion's HP decreases. 1% for every 1% of HP lost. So that means, if he was gonna die, he will proc and kill. He has 1% health left. That means all of his abilities deals double damage, alright? On the, well, 99%. And his multipliers, let me see. On his A2, a 4 damage multiplier, hit 2 times. And this one has 3.85. So before this procs is not actually that good. But if in a Ghost second team, this is just amazing. This will hit for a 8 damage multiplier, and I think he's almost the only champion in the game that can hit this hard. Actually insane. And as well, this passive effect here, kind of broken, I would say. If you try to use a Chimera against him, use Arbiter, Speed Boost, Chimera, can't slip him, and your nuker nukes, he will proc unkillable. Then the warriors goes sometime, and he just wipes your team. So yeah, you have to be really careful when dealing with him. He's insane. He's just incredible. Hard-hitting AoEs and just immune against this. If you start with this as well, you keep being immune. So it's yeah, the best nuker in the game. It is Void though, so pretty hard to get. But Void means he also can't weak hit. So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the only skinwalker. I have one, or no, I have. Yeah, I put up King Garruk here as well. That's right. King Garruk is interesting. He has a 3.7 damage multiplier. Nothing impressive, but will ignore some defense. So against defense-heavy teams, he will probably be better than a starter. But yeah, that's it basically. I wouldn't build him. Robar. There's Robar. Robar is one of the champions that has the potential to deal insane damage. Damage increases as the target is under blah 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 blah. The damage increase is 50% if I remember right. So, and his damage multiplier on this one, yeah, is 4.2. So basically, if that's an additional 50%, it will be 6.3, and you can apply this 25% here as well. Yeah, almost close to 8 damage multiplier as well. One of the hardest hitting, but again, having this proc is pretty difficult. Having this proc as well as the enemy having decreased defense and whatever, that's pretty hard. No, I don't see anyone use him actually in arena, so yeah, that's the thing. Garlic, actually, he is the second hardest starter champion. Really close to Kale's damage. There's only 0.2 difference or something. Garlic was my starter. I think it's amazing because it also has increased speed, so we'll get faster back to things. This one is really good against bosses, placing a big decreased defense, hitting 2 times, whatever. But Kale is overall better than Garlic though, so I will start with Kale if you have the choice. Okay, that was Orcs. Demon Spawn. Here we have a lot of good champions. Start with Drextar. You can get Drextar in the Fragment Arena 3v3 Arena shop. Yeah. So free-to-play players could also get him. I'm free-to-play, by the way. So this ability. This is, I think it is the hardest hitting defense-based AoE damage skill in the game, possibly. I think possibly, because his damage multiplier is 5.2, and for the defense-based champion, that is pretty amazing. And his base defense is pretty high. Yeah, he's amazing champion. I tried building him, but I don't have any good defense-based savage gear, so yeah. But again, he's amazing everywhere. Amazing for Doom Tower, and yeah. So building him as a nuker might not be worth it, but if he's your only defense-based nuker, then maybe. Candrafon, he is ridiculous. He is used everywhere in Platinum Arena defense. His A1 is the hardest hitting A1 in the game, I believe. I forgot to look at this. Raid and Candrafon, and I'm using the Ayumelo net side, internet side, but I know Telhades side, I'm not using that one. Yeah, A1 has a 3 damage multiplier, but he may hit 2 times if the enemies have a buff. So basically a 6 damage multiplier on this A1. Kind of ridiculous. His A2, have only a 3.7 damage multiplier. Damn, that's bad. Except damage increases by 40% while under Veil, or Perfect Veil. And therefore he's used as an arena defense, because if the enemy arbiter goes, he will place a Veil on himself. He will take 40% less damage and he will deal 40% increased damage. So basically he has more like a over a 5 damage multiplier. And his space defense is insane as well. So and if you use him in arena defense, don't look out this skill. This is terrible. You rather want to AA1 in someone, try to kill someone instead of yeah, it's not worth using this. Next champion, who did I have here? Can't Lord Shazar. Yeah, I actually see people use him. He has a pretty terrible damage multiplier, 3.2, but he can place bombs and bumps, a little damage, so therefore he has a high damage potential. He has the best arena speed aura in the game. I think he's the only one with this, actually, so I see a lot of people use him. Not in Plat, though, he's not good enough. In Neathwee, I got him a while back. Sadly, his multipliers are pretty garbage. But again, the reason is enemies killed by this champion is going to be revived. So whatever ability he uses, he will block revive, and that is just insane. His base attack is insane, but his multiplier on this is lower than Kale's. It's 3.3 damage multiplier. So yeah, why block revive when you can't kill someone with this? Right. This one actually hits really hard though. It's a single target nuke, but yeah. I haven't built him myself, so I think it's worth it. Yeah, I actually picked a couple epics here. The first one, obviously, Magnar. Magnar, he is the best health-based champion, well, nuker in the game. He deals double the damage that Santa, or Harnick does, but yeah, double the damage because his multiplier is basically the same as Santa's, but he 2 times. The damage multiplier is similar to Versolf's, but Versolf has an insane condition that has to be met. But Magnar is just don't place HP burn, and he hits twice. Pretty simple. So yeah, his A2 ability here is comparable to Trenda's A3 or any really strong nuker. So, but again, there is no health up that increases damage, so therefore he will deal a lot less damage, but he's the best health-based champion in the game. But yeah, so he's staying alive pretty easily, so he's used a lot. And I want to mention Umbro. Decent defense base, but this ability here actually hits pretty hard. It has a 4 damage multiplier. And that is pretty average as a defense-based nuker, and the reason why this is so amazing is because she places Unkillable on herself for 2 turns. Damn, that's pretty amazing. That means she uses this, then she can use this. This is a 3.6 damage multiplier. Then she can use her A1. At this, if I remember right, this hits insanely hard as well. Umbral Enchantress, I forgot to write this down. 3.3 damage multiplier plus HP percent lost. I'm not sure how that's scaled, but because she has unkillable, she will be attacked, so she will basically be on 1% health at the end of things. And then you can nuke someone with her A1. So I think she is a underrated defense-based nuker. I haven't seen anywhere anyone use her as a nuker, but I think she is viable. And she's a void-based champion, so she wants to weak hit as well. So yeah, I would suggest trying to build her as a defense-based nuker. Who else? Yeah, there was one more here, actually. Handspawn. Well enough. His damage multiplier is whooping 2.5 terrible on this ability. But if Hellfang is on the same team, and there are freezes on the enemies, then he will ignore defense. So he is actually he's the only champion that can ignore defense on a AoE ability. But obviously no one uses this because you need to have Hellfang. Hellfang isn't good enough. Hellfang's freeze only has a 75%, 80% chance of landing. And yeah, it's too much setup. It's not really worth the time and effort. And the RNG that 80% procs, so. Next one. Undead. Saito. Bradley, I don't see anyone uses him, but that's actually crazy because his A3 ability has a 7 damage multiplier. Is that true? 7? That is ridiculous. Attack one enemy with a 7 damage multiplier, then attack all enemies except initial target if there are 3 or more enemies alive. So I think this is just a massive hit. I don't know why. Is there something wrong? It does not work like this. Is the AoE not 7 damage multiplier or what? What is the deal? So yeah, I think he is a really underrated AoE damage nuker actually. Bludge Gorged, I think he is also underrated. His AoE isn't the best. It hits is a 4 damage multiplier. So lower than Kel and Garlic and those. But again, he has this one. Will ignore defense and block revive. So this will kill basically anyone in the game. As a single target skull, so I think it still is worth having. I built him. Yeah, I don't use him for his AoE, but for this. But he also can deal decent AoE damage, so I just want to put him in here. Nethril is the next one. Yes. Nethril actually has surprising damage multipliers. His skills are just insane. A 70%, 75% chance of stunning. And if it doesn't stun, it plays at decreased speed. And this one decreased the turn meter by 75% AoE. Insane PvE, OP, and PvP champion. That's actually ridiculous. And his multipliers are 3.7, that's above average, and 3.8. Pretty good. I also had Vlad. Yeah, people don't use him as a nuker. For some reason, but his damage multipliers are actually decent. This one 4.7. And 4.7 is higher than Kale, and his space attack is higher than Kale. So yeah, I think it's a bit underrated actually, because I think it's kind of terrible ratings. But in arena offense is better than Kale, I would say. Next one, Dark Elhain. Oh, that's Dark April, she's terrible. Dark Elhain. How was she again? I'm starting to lose track here. 3.8 8 damage multiplier. That's not super amazing, and her base attack is a little bit below a good nukers. But increased attack on this champion, that's good, so you don't really need a increased attack champion. But the passive, that's the insane one. She is a Tormin counter. And she's really good at Ice Golem as well, so instantly remove any freeze debuff on the champion. And she gets a lot of buffs. And she... yeah, this is one of the buffs. She gains a lot of buffs, whatever. Then... whenever an ally receives a freeze, she will use this ability. Yeah, that's the real big thing, yeah. If Tormin freezes someone, she will use her A2. This is on a cooldown though, so will you use your booster, Tormin will probably freeze someone, then you use this, then you either do another buff or Tormin tries to freeze someone again, and his passive procs again uses this. It's just yeah, it's insane against freeze champions. Anyways, to the next faction we go. Dark Elves. Oh my god, there's a lot of nukers in this faction. Ray, all AoE, all her abilities. I have 2 Rays actually. I got Ray was one of my first legendaries. She is just ridiculously good. A1, decent multipliers like 2.5 or whatever. AoE, bigger Stevens, whatever. But this one, this ability here hits almost as hard as Trenda A3, alright? The multiplier on this one is 4.3. Okay, 4.3, okay, that's lower than Kale, but it's 1.3 here, that's pretty good, and 50% more damage against targets on the debuff. So basically, ignoring this effect, this is a 6.5 almost the damage multiplier. So 6.5, that's actually ridiculous. That's one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game. Her A3 is also actually really good. Insane damage share as well. It's a little bit underrated. Her yeah, it's a 5.3 damage multiplier. And so far, seeing someone attack based with 5.3 damage multiplier is actually insane. Insane aura as well. I use her in dungeons all the time. Yeah, amazing champion. A little bit low base attack, but her multipliers are just insane. So my main nigger, yeah. Foley. I recently built him. I haven't put him in any gear yet. His damage multiplier is lower than Kale, but he have this special ability here. Attack all enemies, then attack the target enemy an additional time. So basically, if they have a Duchess or something, target the Duchess, attack anyone, and an additional attack against Duchess. So yeah, and any enemies killed by this cannot be revived. So he's really, yeah, I see him all the time, especially in arena defenses. His passive is also really good. Whenever an enemy places stun, freeze, sleep, or provoke on this champion, he removes it, heals a little bit, and boosts the turn bit by 50%. So he will, if the enemy has a Chimer that uses his sleep, Foley will oftentimes just go forth in the order and wipe the enemy team. Or if there's a Tormin, he will, if he would have gotten frozen, he will instead gain a turn meter and attack the enemies. So it's pretty good. I see him used a lot. Next champion, Sabi. Alright, she's not really used in PvP. She looks amazing. Actually, let's see. Arena offense 4.9. Yeah, almost perfect. But I don't really see anyone uses her. But this is the ability that is her main stuff. Damage multiplier is only 4.1. But again, this is higher damage multiplier than Foley, and this also has a block revive. But the main thing is that she explodes all the poisons on the enemies. And yeah. And poisons deal true damage. So 5% poison deals basically 5% of the health, and usually they have 2-turn cooldown, durability, whatever. So if you combine her with a Calvex or something in the arena, you then would want actually Arbiter into another booster like Lysandra, then Calvex, because Calvex is A3 is scaled with poisons on the enemy, so he goes, does a big smack, then Savia goes, deals 40% true damage with this ability, and block revives and kill him. So that's you can kill anyone in the game, pretty much. Unless they have immunity and poison don't matter. But yeah, Savia is a in PvE she is amazing. I use her all the time with the poison exploder comps. Rule. Okay, Rule. He is a new champion, kind of new. He was a fusion. I don't see him used ever in arena. I sometimes see him used in PvE content because this ability hits insanely hard. I think it'll be a lot more viable because of this ability. Places 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies, then places a hex debuff on all enemies. And this is just a place, it's not an attack, and it can't be a weak hit on the placing the hex. And he places perfect damage on himself and gets turn meter. And this is an amazing hex ability. This is probably going to be viable in arena after more hex champions is coming out. And this ability here is actually one of the potential highest damage hitters in the game. The damage multiplier is only 3, but places an extra hit on enemies under hex. So if all the enemies have hex, he basically has a 6 damage multiplier. And 6 damage multiplier, that's ridiculous. And not only that, will ignore 25% of each target's defense if there are 4 or more enemies under hex. So you have to place hex on all the enemies. Then he will ignore 25% of target's defense. If you have him in Savage set and Helm Smasher as well, you will one-shot everything. So I think a viable, kind of viable option is Arbiter into Chimar Sleep. Then you use one rule with a lot of accuracy, placing hex, and another rule to kill everyone. I actually have 2 rules, so I will try to do this one time, but I'm free to play, so I have limited resources. But I think that will kill everything, even though there's not defense down, because he's gonna ignore so much defense. That was a rule. Then physics. Actually, a pretty decent defense nuker. She is free. Everyone gets her. Probably terrible reviews. Yep. She got buffed, I think, if I remember right. Anyway, she deals a lot of damage now. Actually, her A3, that's the biggest nuke here. 4.1 damage multiplier. So it's pretty decent. It can plus provoke, shield on herself, 3-turn cooldown, so I would say she's pretty good now. I haven't built her because I don't need her on my account. P6, and yeah, and then there is Kale, finally, the one we have talked about all this time. He's the best starter by far. Poisons there, all poisons is insane against bosses. This one, if he kills the enemies, he gains turn meter, and yeah. And this is the hardest hitting ability of all the starters as well. with a damage multiplier of 4.65. Really similar to Gallic's, but a little bit more damage than Gallic, actually. And yeah, that's him. Next faction. This one. Thea. Alright. I think Thea also would be viable after this. If you've combined her with Rule, instead of a second Rule, for example, you can use this in Arena, I think. Say, you have Arbiter into Kaimar, Rule Hex on all the enemies. He places 1, 2, 3, 4, so it only will be a 200% increased damage. Her damage multiplier is low, it's only 3.5, but even if only 2 hexes are out, she will deal double damage, basically 7 attack multiplier. And if there are 2 more, basically all 4 hexes lands, it deals 200% extra damage, so basically 10.5 attack multiplier. But again, she don't ignore any defense or anything. So 10.5, and if the enemies are tanky and you don't have decreased defense, you could just use a champion with over 5 damage multiplier. But again, she is potentially one of the hardest hitting champions in the game as well. If you are against something that has 6 minions, I don't know where that happens, but in the waves there's often 5. She will have a 6, 9, 12, 14 damage multiplier potential if it stacks up to 300%. 14, then she hits harder than anyone in the game. That's just how it is. And she removes all the hexes. But that's not a problem if you have Kaimar in Arena, so. Perfect Whale. Yeah, so it's a cool effect there as well. So anyway, that was her. That was a pretty long one on her. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Versolf. I maxed him as soon as I got him, because at the time he came out, he was the hardest hitting health-based champion in the game. I built him, tried to make a team with Umbral, releasing provokes, because of this. I didn't have enough stun, and if I play stun only have a 1 turn duration, so if anyone falls off, he only hit once. So I used Umbral with a 2 turn provoke, but then there is no defense down, and he hits super garbage, because extra hits is super hard to get off, and it's not really worth it. It's good PvE champion though, with Isle of Protection, increased defense, Leech. So he's pretty good in clan battles as well. But he wasn't the nuker we thought he would be. Kalvax, I talked about him earlier, he is not the biggest damage multiplier. He only has a 3.5 damage multiplier, this one. With a good books though, but he is a max health hitter. Every poison on the enemy increases his max health damage by 0.01. So basically on 10 poisons on the enemy, his percent increased damage is the same as a cold heart max hit. So it's a bit hard to pull off, but against clan boss and people with high max health, it's pretty good. And if you do clan boss and you have like 7 or 6 poisons up, this hits insanely hard. And this one as well. Same character. Solus, the most used and probably the best overall defense-based nuker in the game. This one is the ability we are going to talk about here. 4.9 damage multiplier. It's a bit lower than Rexstar, but he can place a provoke and a massive shield on himself. So overall, he's just better because also he's void, so he can't weak it. Hegemon, A2. His passive makes him able to go first in the combat, whatever happens, unless there's another enemy Hegemon that is faster. But so we can build him with 0 speed, maximum damage, and he will nuke the enemy team. His damage multiplier isn't insane because he always goes first, but his damage multiplier is 3.7. It can be booked up 1.3, so basically above maybe 4.5 damage multiplier total. Pretty good. So imagine if you have 4 hegemons just going first, boom, 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 boom. Everything's dead. Jesus Christ. Verlim, I did bring him here on the list as well because he's so underrated. I think 4 damage multiplier. Decent, I guess. Did we have anyone else? Yeah, next one. Boom, Sinesha. She is used in a blender comp with her A1. Her base attack is super low. If this one was 1500, she would potentially be one of the best nukers in the game. Because this A1 has a 3 damage multiplier. It hits twice, so basically in total of 6 damage multiplier if both of the hits goes off. Insane. And this one is a 6.9 damage multiplier on a single target, so super low base attack, so it's pretty hard to build her with a lot of attack. So. The next one after this, and the order is Kitus. Circuit ability that only pops off if he has less than half health. So you put him with the void lady that revives everyone the full turn meter, only 25% health. So that means this ability is unlocked and he deals increased damage based on missing health and whatever. So basically it will be a 4 damage multiplier and it did twice, so basically 8 damage multiplier. And we can have a Madame that also revives that a little bit faster than him. And he can have 0 speed as well, so you have a Madame, remove all buffs, plays decreased defense, and he nukes him. Yeah, potentially one of the hardest hitting champions in the game. That's a pretty crazy thing that you have to be nuked, survive, revive, and then you nuke a kill. Pretty cool champion though. Next one, Skull Crown. She used to be the queen of Arena. She is still everywhere because she's super hard to deal with because of her unkillable. Basically a swift parry with a 100% chance. So insane. And her A1 is used as a blender in a blender comp. A1 how's the damage multiplier? 1.8 times 2, so basically 3.6 damage multiplier on her A1. This one has 4.3. So yeah, she's amazing, super hard to deal with. If you are against her, you try to nuke the enemy team, she survives, she procs retaliation, she auto-attacks you, then she goes and nukes you and you potentially damage. So, and plays a decent aura. Amazing champion. I have 3 of her and I'm gonna build all 3 one day. Okay, we are really close to being finished now. Let's talk about the dwarves. Oh my god, is there a couple of good ones here. Start with Trunda. I don't have Trunda. Start phase. She is the best and the hardest hitting nuker in the entire game. Actually, I should have moved out of it. She is the best damage dealing champion in the entire game. Super high base attack. Her A2, let's start with this one. 6 damage multiplier. That's insane, right? But again, also, attack one enemy, then attack all other enemies with a second hit, dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit. So that means if the enemy has a super high health target with a low defense, she will kill basically everyone. This is a little bit bugged, so it deals a lot more damage than it should against a lot of people. It's weird one. But again, this one ability here is also insanely hard hitting. It has a 3 damage multiplier, but it hits twice. She doesn't stun. So and 1.3 damage here as well, hopefully moment. So it's one of the hardest hitting abilities in the entire game. She's the queen of arena. She's everywhere in platinum, everywhere. You know, she's just the hardest hitting champion in the entire game overall. Super easy. Don't build any accuracy at all, if possible. And yeah, you kill everyone. Next one up, Harnick. He was a fusion. He's actually pretty amazing. Base attack, decent. But okay, let's talk about first his A2, I guess. This will place decreased defense if you have some accuracy, decreased attack, really good in PvE. It has a 4.4 damage multiplier, so pretty good. I will build him instead of a starter champion any day. This ability. Okay, this one is actually insane. It has a 6.2 damage multiplier against the single target. It'll also attack all enemies. So basically, if there is a Duchess, you will attack the Duchess with this. Hopefully kill the Duchess. And then kill the rest of the people without the damage reduction. So the AoE has a 4 damage multiplier. But the single target has 6 before the AoE, so if there's a Duchess there and she survives, she will in total hit with a 10 damage multiplier. And this also plays weak and yeah. So against bosses he can place defense and weak. Just the same. If you get a base at A1, if you kill someone, you'll get an extra turn and decrease the cooldown on this. If this is fully booked, okay, let's say enemy warlord goes. All your skills are put on cooldown. Your Harnick goes because you gain turn meter by getting hit. Okay? You will A1 someone, hopefully kill them. If you kill them, you will get an extra turn. And the extra turn does decrease your cooldowns and decreases the cooldown by another 2 turns. So you A1, then this one is up. Then you can nuke the enemy team again. So yeah, this is a warlord counter pretty much. It's really insane, pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's underrated. He's rated pretty good, I would say. Tormin, people use him as a defense-based. His defense multiplier is only 3.8, but people surprised build him with some damage, and because it's passive, it's just the most annoying thing in the entire game. So personally, I don't go against Tormins. And he has a stupid ass revive. Holy hell. Anyways. Shadowkin, only 2 champions I have here. Ninja, I think, is worth putting up there because this ability hits surprisingly weak, but it is a 100% chance to freeze though. One of the only ones in the game. His damage multiplier is only a 3 damage multiplier. That's stupidly low. It's like 66% of Kale's damage. And Kale isn't, yeah, super low of damage. But against bosses, this is insane. So as a nuker, he's kind of terrible. He's good PvE. Well, actually, he's insane PvE. Against bosses, he is maybe the highest damage potential champion in the game. Because this one hits really hard and procs HP burns, and this one decreases defense, ignore 50% defense against bosses, and he stacks up his damage along the fight. So against clan boss, he's just massive. People use him in faction wars and everywhere. So underperforming nuker, but insane PvE champion. The last champion. This champion is my most wanted nuker in the entire game. Okay. So this is a good one to end on actually. So let us go over the abilities. This one. This is the nuke. He has 4 damage multiplier. Not super impressive. Increase the duration of all buffs. Yeah, who cares? Okay, you're thinking, oh, okay, it's a void, epic, whatever. But this one, he places this first, so actually his damage multiplier is kind of higher because he gains 30% crit rate and 30% crit damage. You only need to build him with 70% crit. Then he gets an extra turn. So we first use this, then use the nuke. Super easy to gear. But that's not all. The passive. Jesus Christ, look at this. Immune to Digger's attack. So he doesn't have the... So if you build him something like Swift Parry or whatever, and the enemy has a Madame, usually decrease their attack, but that won't happen. But this is the big one, okay? Will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under increased attack. You have no way to place increased attack on himself. But he can steal, whatever. Anyway, so we put him with a Arbiter. And he will kill anyone. He will one-shot a Skull Crown, ignore unkillable. He will ignore the unkillable of Leoris. They'll ignore Swift Parry sets. And yeah, it's just incredible. He is one of the best arena champions in the entire game, in my opinion. He basically ignores the Swift Parry meta and hits pretty hard as well. So he's my most wanted champion. I sadly don't have him. He's on the Void Epic, so hopefully I will get him one day. So this is my overview of all the champions, all the best AoE champions in the games and their hidden damage multipliers. I really think Playroom should put those damage multipliers up, because it's really useful and new players have no idea. They only see the base attack and think, and they might think Bystofus is good. Where is he? Or even Crit Growl. No, not him. Scarthosis? No. Okay, where is this man? Bystofus. He is the highest base attack champion in a game. So people might think he's the highest damage output champion in the entire game. But it's far from it, okay? This ability is so bad. Only a 75% chance of placing decreased defense is a legendary champion. What? And only a 75% to place block active skills. If this was 100%, this would be amazing. And this is 100%, it would be amazing, but 75% isn't good enough, okay? So high base attack only helps with the scaling of the damage, but if its multipliers are low, it doesn't help. So that's why the hidden damage multipliers are a big deal. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and leave a like, subscribe, whatever. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.